As a mindset coach and as a flute teacher, a private flute teacher, specializing in one-on-one teaching and one-on-one coaching, there are so many things that I learned in my coach training that I did not get in my music education that has really helped me connect with my students, help motivate them in a way that feels empowering and not like we're working against each other. And I want to share a few tools with you in case you find it helpful if you're a music teacher or a mentor of any kind. I'm Chelsea, and like I said, I am a mindset coach for musicians and a private flute teacher. I have taught as a visiting professor at a couple different universities. I have built the entire tone-based flute platform, and I have thought deeply about how to make music education, private instruction specifically, really enriching and an experience for students to grow as people through learning an instrument. That's always my goal with my students, is to help them grow as people. I'm going to give you one tool in this video, and I'll probably make a series of them, of one thing I learned in coach training that I use in so many of my lessons. And it's a way to relate to my students and see where they're coming from with their own mindset. And it helps me understand them, have compassion for them, and move forward together so we're always on the same team. So this is a concept called the thought model, and it's specifically the middle part of the model. It's this idea that thoughts create feelings. So anytime we have a thought, it's going to create a feeling within us, and then that feeling is the fuel for our actions. I'll give you an example of when I first applied this work when I was a university professor, and a student came into their lesson once and they said, I just can't play with a metronome, when I had assigned them to play with the metronome the week before. And I thought about their perspective within this thought model. I thought, okay, a student that's in college, they think I can't play with the metronome. They probably feel ashamed. They probably feel a lot of shame when that thought comes up, because if you get into music school, you are pretty much at that level. You can play with the metronome. Most people can. So they were probably feeling a lot of shame, which was driving them to take the action of avoiding playing with the metronome, right? They just didn't want to because they felt so much shame. No one wants to feel shame. So I thought, oh my gosh, okay, this is likely what's happening, but let me ask this student. So I asked them, okay, when you think I can't play with the metronome, how does that make you feel? And they said, bad. They said it didn't make me feel good. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And so if you don't feel good, it makes sense that you wouldn't want to practice it because it doesn't make you feel good. And I totally get that. And I was able to relate to this student in a way that I don't think a teacher was able to relate to them before, because they weren't curious to ask, how does that belief make you feel? How does that thought make you feel? And then we were able to talk about it. I was able to talk with them about how it's going to be uncomfortable. It might be frustrating, but to expect that as part of the process and to not necessarily let that deter them from doing the work and just trusting that it's going to come. And as a teacher, I got to hold space for the student to be there, to have very normal feelings as a human, and then to be with them as they move forward in that process. I think one of the best things we can do as teachers is show our students compassion. Now, some teachers get very frustrated when their students don't practice and aren't motivated. And I understand that to a point, but I think it's really important to see this model of their thoughts creating their feelings. Like, what is the student's opinion of their own playing? What is the student's thought about this piece, whether they are capable of it or not? We don't normally dive into these things, but it actually completely dictates how much they will practice it. If a student doesn't think that they're capable of doing something, and then a teacher tries to motivate them by saying, yeah, I don't know, this is really hard, you really have to practice a lot, that's going to just instill that belief even further and make that student probably less motivated. Instead of finding ways in a lesson for a student to hear, oh, that was a change. Maybe I can do it. What if I could do it? What if I could make a little bit of progress this week? What if I could make progress throughout the week and maybe not even notice it day to day? What if I just did the thing and let go of the result and still just practice what I needed to? Or what if this is easier than I think it's going to be? Like, what if it's actually not that bad? And usually it isn't that bad. But I think when we say, oh, you have to practice really hard, you have to be dedicated, you have to do this, this, and this, I think it's okay to have some sort of accountability system for the student, but only if the thought and feeling that they're practicing with is an association with their instrument that they really want. If it's a negative motivation, meaning they think, I'm not good enough at this, I need to practice so I can make my teacher happy, and they feel like inadequate while they're practicing and they don't feel very good, then they're not going to want to practice again. And this is a huge cycle I see over and over in so many students, where they'll try to practice their way out of thinking this way, and then it doesn't work because it's the feeling and the thought that are driving the action, not the action that's creating the thought and feeling. It doesn't go that way. So if an action creates a new thought, and that thought is great, then we've changed our process. But likely, what needs to change isn't the action, it's the thought and feeling behind the action. And when you know that, you can understand your students' motivation much more. You get less frustrated as a teacher. I don't like being frustrated as a teacher. It is very annoying to spend hours a day being frustrated at students, and it's so much energy. I don't think we need to be frustrated. I think we can be compassionate and motivating and encouraging and create possibility within the minds of our students instead of insecurity. So just to recap, thoughts create feelings, and these thoughts and feelings drive our actions. And our actions culminate in a result. If we want the result to be, I can play with the metronome, then our thought has to come first. What if I could? What if I could play with the metronome? Then maybe we feel curious. Then we practice from that place. But if the thought is, I can't play with the metronome, then the feeling is shame, and then practicing occurs. Or not practicing, avoiding, trying it, becoming really stubborn about it, not feeling good because you are convinced you can't do it, right? If that's the kind of practicing that happens and we're avoiding, then the result is I can't play with a metronome. Every time we have a thought or opinion about something, it will show up in our results. And that is one thing that I've found so helpful in my own practicing as a flutist, but also for my clients and my students. If they don't think it's possible, it is our job as teachers to create possibility within their minds. And that's what I find so exciting and motivating and rewarding about teaching, is this person who thought they couldn't do this thing can all of a sudden see themselves shift into the person that can. And I think at the end of the day, that's what I love about coaching and teaching, but really bringing those two together has been such a gift for me. And if you have any questions about that, please put them in the comments below, or do one of these models yourself. See what happens. Feel free to share it below if you want to as well. And I hope that this is helpful either if you're a student or if you're a teacher. And if you'd like to hear more coaching, teaching tips, feel free to subscribe and follow along, because I'll have a lot more tools to share with you. This is just the tip of the iceberg, so I'm so excited to share these with you on this channel. And I will see you next time.